हेलो गाइस, एसपीआर एजुकेशन चैनल में आपका स्वागत है और मैं शिषपाल सिंह। आज फिर से हम वी हैव टेक्स्ट बुक्स इन इंग्लिश फॉर क्लास 9th का चैप्टर 3 रीड करेंगे। ठीक है, चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं। चैप्टर 3, ठीक है। थर्ड, द लिटिल गर्ल। चैप्टर का नाम है द लिटिल गर्ल। बिफोर यू रीड, डू यू फील यू नो योर पेरेंट्स बेटर नाउ देन when you when you were much younger? Perhaps you now understand the reason for some of their action that used to upset you earlier. This story about a little girl whose feelings for her father change from fear to understanding will probably find an echo in every home. Next, the little girl, the to the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with "Good boy, father." And and oh, oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter down the long road. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. "Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there. And bring me my slippers." Kezia, mother would call to her, "If you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boots." Slowly the girl would slip down the stairs, more slowly still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. By the time he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. "Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today?" I don't know, father." "You did not don't know if you stuttered like that, mother. You have will have to take you to the doctor." She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only when with father, because then she was trying so hard to say that to say the words properly. "What's the matter? What are you looking so watched about, mother? I wish you taught this child not to appear on this brink of suicide." "Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. Carefully. He was so big. His hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a Ghent. One on Sunday afternoon, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched मतलब है ना, stretched out on the sofa, his handkerchief off on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. स्नोरिंग ये देख लीजिए, ये इसके सीन है. ये द लिटिल गर्ल ऑलवेज फाउंड मदर रीडिंग एंड फादर स्ट्रेच आउट ऑन द सोफा. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he worked and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. Don't stare so, Kezia, you look like a little brown owl. One day when she was kept indoor with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pine cushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. Laboriously, with a double cotton, the little girl stitched three sides. But what to fill it with? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into mother's bedroom to look for scarps. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into teeny pieces, and shifted her case. Then sewed up the fourth side. Sew up the fourth side. Fourth side. Foresight. That night there was a hue and cry in the house. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been just rooms were searched, servants questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room. Oh yes, she said. She said, I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother, came straight down to the drying, dining room this instant, and she was dragged down the where father was packing to and fro, hands behind his back. Well, he said sharply. Mothers explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? And no, she whispered. Mothers go up to the room, her room, and fetch down the fetch out the demand thing. See that the child's put to bed this instant. Caring too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. I am going to beat you for this, he said. Oh no, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you with it, but it was for your baby birthday. Down came the ruler on her little pink palms. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. What did God make? What did God make fathers for? She sobbed, her hair's a clean hanky. Darling, blow your noise. Go to sleep, Pat. You will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. But child, but the child never forget. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands behind her back and a red color flew into her cheeks. The the McDonalds lived next door. They had five children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders stood little girls hanging on to his coat pockets ran out and round the floor beds sacking with the laughter. Once he saw the boys turn the hose of him, and he tried to catch them, laughing all the time. Then it was he decided there were different sorts of fathers. Suddenly one day mother became ill and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice, the cook. That was all right day in the daytime in the daytime. But while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. What I shall what what will I do if I have a nightmare? Nightmare, she asked. I often have nightmares, and then Granny takes me into her bed. I cannot stay in the dark. It all gets whispery. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her her socks. And don't you scream and walk your poor pa and walk your poor pa. But the same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she could not move, could only stand still, carrying out, Grandma, Grandma. She woke, shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. What's the matter? He said. Oh, a butcher, a knife. I want, Granny. He blew out the candle, bent down and catch up the child in his arms, crying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully took up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep, still with the butcher's smile all about her. It seemed she crawled close to him, suggested heard her her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. Her rub your feet against my legs and get them worms aside, father. Turn out tired out. The slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than the grandmother, but it was a nice hardness, and every day he had to work and was to try to be a Mr. McDonald. She had turned up all his beautiful writing. She stared suddenly and signed with the matter immediately. A matter asked her father another dream. Oh, said the little girl, my heart's on your heart. I can hear it again. What a big heart you have got, father's dear. Father's dear. Okay guys, thank you. Complete हो गया chapter. Bye.